So, Mahindra and Mahindra, when it came to EVs, they were ahead of the time.
I think they're very well positioned for the future as well.
I would say M&M is one company which has invested very heavily in R&D.
So Mahindra Racing is one of the founding members of Formula E.
But there's another division of M&M, the tractor division, which I think also we should highlight over here.
Okay, so I guess it's time to talk about my favorite automobile company of the moment, Mahindra and Mahindra. Full disclaimer: it's driven exclusively by the Thar, a car that I quite like. But it's a rising star in the Indian automobile industry. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, and it's another shining example of a homegrown auto company and the number of evolutions that it has gone to reach at this particular level, where it's a fabulous global auto company with in-house capability for design, manufacturing, sales across the board. I think hats off to them. They've been around for 77 years. How many companies can boast of being around for that long?
So when were they founded? I mean, 77 years is a long time. What are their origins? What's their origin story, I guess?
It's a pre-partition company founded by two Mahindra brothers and one Mr. Muhammad. So M&M stands for, earlier stood for Mahindra and Muhammad. But then Mr. Muhammad migrated to Pakistan, and then we have M&M, which is Mahindra and Mahindra. Two brothers set up Mahindra and Mahindra. And the key milestone for them was when they started assembling Jeeps in India. And the Jeep was one of the most popular cars. I think the army used it. A lot of the government also agencies used the Jeep. And that's when the journey for Mahindra and Mahindra began, when they started manufacturing Jeeps. It was under license from an American company, later owned by Chrysler. And thereafter, I think they felt that they should start developing their own brands and their own products. And I think the initial brands are not that well received. The quality was not up to expectations. It was a kind of a product which had a lot of issues in terms of smooth functioning. But I would say M&M is one company which has invested very heavily in R&D, and they have grown the product quality, the product design, the kind of systems which are there by leaps and bounds over the last 15-20 years or so. And all of that credit goes to Anand Mahindra, who has been instrumental in making Mahindra and Mahindra what we call Atmanirbhar when it comes to their entire automobile business.
Yeah, I think they're very well positioned for the future as well, because I think Mahindra Racing is one of the founding members of Formula E, and has, I think, at least once been the runner-up in the Formula E championship.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they're absolutely on top of this EV curve, and I mean, I'll say it again. Their recent car launches, the Thar in particular, that I quite love, is really shows that investment in quality. But really interesting. Another interesting point to note about how their investments in EV are paying off. They have their proprietary EV platform called the Iglo, on which they're planning on launching a number of EVs for the domestic market. But they've also signed agreements with Volkswagen to share this EV platform. So there's at least some hope that it will become an export powerhouse as well, because of the quality of their EV platform.
So Mahindra and Mahindra, when it came to EVs, they were ahead of the time. They bought into Reva, which was India's first electric vehicle company, way back in 2010. Oh, wow. So it was Anand Mahindra's vision almost 12 years ago that EV is going to be the way forward for Mahindra and Mahindra, for the auto industry. And they've been investing as much as possible into EV technologies, EV products, which is why now I think that they are very solidly positioned. In my assessment, they'll be one of the key players when we have more and more passenger vehicle EVs coming into play over here. And I think they've got the formula right when it comes to design, when it comes to experience. I think that's something which they have learned over the last 4 or 5 years. They have a golden touch when it comes to launching new products. As of now, I would say that they have long waiting lists for most of their new models. So that's something which we have to certainly give credit to the current management. A very well managed company, and recently the new CEO, he's taken over the company, and their focus is more on getting higher return on capital employed. See, typically the Mahindra and Mahindra had too many new plants. They had done overseas acquisitions as well, and generally not enough attention was paid to return on capital, and that was one of the reasons why the company traded at a low price to earning multiple as well.
Yeah,
but so that's changed.
Yeah, and I think as you can see, the improvement in ROC, or return on capital employed, I'm sure that's reflected in the price performance of Mahindra.
Yeah, I think the stock price has done really well, as you can see, over the last 3-4 years or so, and that's to do with the focus on ROC, focus on new models, capturing the imagination of their consumers, and that's played out very well for M&M. But there's another division of M&M, the tractor division, which I think also we should highlight over here, because the tractor division is the world's largest tractor manufacturer in the world, and they've made life easy for so many farmers. And I would say that they have been an unsung hero when it came to the green revolution in the country by providing low cost, good quality tractors to the Indian farmer, and that forever has changed the kind of income levels as well as the experience of the farmers, and where tractors in rural areas are not only used for agriculture but for transportation as well. And making a tractor in India is not as easy as it is perceived to be, because a tractor is used for many functions and not just plowing the fields.
Yeah, and you also need a high level of reliability, I'd imagine, in India with tractors, because the ability to access after sales service in comparison to, I guess, the US or Europe would be much lower. So hats off, I guess, really outstanding performance. I think, as you can see, even the recent results have been outstanding. Truly a homegrown giant.
Absolutely, and I think that they seem to be a bit ahead of the curve in terms of what is happening in the auto industry, especially on the EV side, and also the fact that the tractor business, although cyclical, is one of the best businesses in terms of return ratios, in terms of sales, in terms of product quality, after sales service network is really fantastic. I think they've gone very deep into the rural areas. And Varun, we spoke about in the earlier podcast about monsoon and its effect. I think if you want to buy one company which has got a lot of rural revenues coming through, it is Mahindra and Mahindra, because of its tractor, UV business, as well as I think a lot of its passenger vehicles and SUVs also go into rural areas.
All right. Well, that's definitely a stock to watch for the future. Maybe Anand Mahindra's vision will play out, and a couple of years from now we'll be hailing him as the next Elon Musk or India's Tesla.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.